Now that it's June, it is officially the gayest time of the year, and it is your legal obligation to celebrate this.
Move, I'm gay.
In the workplace, being gay just has its perks. You're just simply a better person.
Do it, hetero.
This year, I decided to go all out for Pride by reviewing and ranking some of the most popular LGBTQ anime out there. We started out with the worst of the worst, then last week we got to the mid, and now finally we have reached the good anime. Thank fucking God, the sheer amount of hellish anime I put myself through, having actual good anime to recommend to y'all literally means the world to me. I have linked the first two parts down below, so if you would like to see me relive those dark times, make sure to check them out. Make sure to subscribe and come back next Saturday for the finale, where I will finally reveal my number one in all of its infamy. If you'd like to see the extended director's cut of today's video, it is now available on my Patreon, which is linked in the description and pinned in my comments. So with all that being said, let's get into it. Whisper Me a Love Song apparently is really hated by the manga fans, which I honestly had no idea about until recently. I can kind of understand the hate, especially since there was a massive production delay. This came out last spring, and the final two episodes weren't released until New Year's. And you could tell that the production got because some of the animation was very questionable and did the whole panel format instead of animating actual scenes. Story-wise, this had a lot of whiplash, with both couples developing in a way that was really on the edge of, do they actually like their potential partners, or do they just feel pressured into being with them? I think it mostly worked out by the end, but that ick factor never quite left. But by the end, everyone did seem happy, so I mostly accepted it. 7 out of 10. Wonder Egg Priority is a very powerful anime that can be very healing in the way that it explores different characters confronting their trauma. They also do a great job exploring different trans and non-binary experiences with some truly moving sequences. Although I do wish that they had been given more screen time and fleshed out further. I do have to give a major trigger warning for this series because it heavily deals with teens unaliving themselves, which was influenced by the SAR and abuse they endured before their life ended. I was a big fan of this anime when it first came out, and I didn't understand the backlash until I rewatched it. Wonder Egg Priority just had too many plots, and the big bad they introduced in episode 11 did undermine some of the earlier themes and the main question of, why are these girls unaliving themselves? This used to be a 9 out of 10, but after the rewatch, I've lowered it to a 7 out of 10. Flower and Ashura isn't super in your face gay, but come on, y'all, this shit is gay as hell. Our couple is constantly throwing each other longing glances, their chemistry is off the charts, and they literally say that they like each other, so there you go. Flower and Ashura is such a pretty looking anime, and it uses the power of spoken word to not only transform their own characters, but transport the audience into this beautiful world that they've created. There are anime about all types of creatives, but I have not seen one that covers poetry and spoken word. So I was so happy to come across this puppy. I haven't really seen anyone talk about this one or even clock that it's super gay, so hopefully this video will help it gain some more traction. 7.5 out of 10. Mayanaka Punch is so goddamn chaotic, and I love it. Is it too chaotic to fully work? Yes, but they made a damn fine effort to put themselves out there. What better anime for a YouTuber to comment on than a anime about a YouTuber? Except the one in Mayanaka Punch is a we need some stock apology videos on deck type of YouTuber. Homegirl is problematic and she's straight up kinda just a bad person. But she gets another chance at YouTube when she meets a gay vampire who agrees to help her hit 1 million subs in exchange for sucking her dry. That's the anime, just a bunch of chaotic gay vampires making YouTube content content, and our main characters screaming director's orders from behind the camera and working day and night to edit and upload. I ended up loving this anime even more because of the Paolo from Tokyo video, where he interviews the director for his Day in a Life series. If you're into sloppy, chaotic gays, this anime is for you. 7.5 out of 10. Land of the Lustrous had such a cool concept, world building that shook me, an animation style that had me floored, and incredible character development. So why doesn't it have a higher rating? Well, that's because the pacing got kinda wonky and it ended on a cliffhanger with no sign of a second season. They set so much up and then it has been radio silence since it finished. Plus, they had moments where this anime got really dark and I wanted to see more of that. But I feel like they didn't fully have the courage to pursue that and instead reverted back to cutesy slice-of-life storylines. I would still recommend watching this one because the crazy unique animation and storytelling is truly top tier. And who knows, maybe we will eventually get that second season. Stranger things have happened. 7.5 out of 10. Mobile Suit Gundam Wish for Mercury was my introduction to the Gundam universe, and holy shit. It still cracks me up that people were trying to scream, "It's not gay, stop making everything gay," like bruh. The main character is literally engaged to a woman and gets with her at the end. It was definitely a dropkick initiation of, hey look, space politics, child soldiers, Gundam! This puppy made me cry a number of times. I think the first season was overall stronger than the second, but I also watch these week to week and that can make it really hard to remember all the connecting details. Because of that, I am excited to watch it again and all in one go to see if my rating changes from that. But for now, we're gonna give her a 8 out of 10. Kaiba is one of the most unique and creative pieces of queer media that I have ever seen. Which is no coincidence because it was created by my favorite person in the anime industry, Masaki Uasa. I am obsessed with this man and everything that he does, hence why I made an entire video on his body of work, which you can watch here. The gender identity journey that's explored in Kaiba is one that you can either read into or not. I've run into a lot of people who are angry that I made the connection, but I just don't understand how you can ignore it. The main characters and others go on an existential journey of self-discovery, where embracing and coming to terms with being in different bodies is part of the process. I would also highly recommend watching this more than once to fully appreciate it, since you really do get something new every time you watch it. 8 out of 10. Blue Period is one of those magical anime whose impact goes way beyond the anime. Our main character isn't an art prodigy and he didn't start when he was younger. He's just some regular guy who starts halfway through his high school career and dedicates himself to being better. Although he is the main character and the anime is about him, his enemy to bestie is why this anime is on the list. Ryuji is trans and her storyline is one of the most beautifully crafted representations I've seen in a long time. Watching her slowly become more vulnerable and reveal her truth to Yaguchi was so well done. They also touch on the realities of what being trans is like in Japan and some of the hardships that come along with that. But what I really loved is that even though they do touch on these hardships, the bulk of the screen time is dedicated to showing what an absolute baddie she is and the artistic prowess she flexes as she works towards her goals. 8 out of 10. Puella Magi Madoka Magica is the gayest and darkest magical girl anime that has ever been made. Like, damn, this shit gets metal as hell and I love it for that. And it does it in a way where you're drawn into this magical world expecting just, regular magical girl shit, and at first it is there, But then the rug gets pulled out from under you, and you realize with horror the dire situation that you're actually in. Contrary to popular belief that all my favorites are all sanitized, happy-go-lucky anime, my favorites are brutal, dark shit shows full of chaos and absolute carnage. And that is exactly why I love Madoka Magica. Plus, you know, the whole extra gay element doesn't hurt. If you're looking for that good pain, this is just what the doctor ordered. 7 out of 10. Kakaguri is the definition of I'm here for gay rights, but I'm also here for gay wrongs. Cause goddamn are these lesbians crazy. And not in the fun crazy way, but the damn, do I need to bring a weapon to protect myself crazy. And I say that with love because this batshit anime is so unbelievably fun. It is definitely gonna be too much for some people between the gayness, the fan service, and the imminent threats of violence. But for those who appreciate that flavor of chaos, you are absolutely gonna fuck with this one. Kakaguri just keeps upping the stakes, literally, because their social status at school is determined by gambling, and their student council is up there, along with the student council from Kill la Kill, for the most powerful student councils of all anime. 8 out of 10. Kill la Kill is a pure chaos anime, which if you've been on this channel for a while, you know is my favorite genre. It is also so gay, with so many characters in love with each other, loudly proclaiming their love during the most insane shit show fights. Literally nothing about this anime, from the living, breathing outfit who's also a weapon, to the queer neurodivergent bestie who only speaks in motivational speeches, to that one yearly tradition of sending the students on a deadly obstacle course, make any goddamn sense. I adore anime that pull off concepts that scream, only an anime could pull off something this stupid. And that is the perfection of Kill la Kill. 8 out of 10. Banana Fish is a one-and-done anime, in that even going in having the ending spoiled, I still wasn't prepared for that ending. Our main characters are a fish-out-of-water character who gets drop-kicked into the New York City underground, and his love interest who survived the worst atrocity a child could be subjected to, and is now back for revenge. Yeah, I don't think any of us are gonna ever recover from this one. Like, it honestly makes me really concerned for the people who say that this is their favorite anime. Like, do y'all want to carpool therapy together? Cause woof. But really, I can't say shit, cause my number one pick in this series also destroyed people on a cellular level. So I can appreciate the love for carnage. 8 out of 10. Stars Align is one of the most emotionally devastating sports anime I have ever seen. Although the main character isn't a part of the Alphabet Mafia, two of his besties are. Sho is trans and uses his experiences to help Yuta come to terms and accept their own truth. I absolutely love the conversations they had about gender and being somewhere under the trans, non-binary, genderqueer umbrella. Stars Align is such a powerful anime because they give their LGBT characters actual depth and range, where yes, their gender identity is important, but there's so much more to them and their personalities that makes them into the incredible humans that they are. This is such a good anime, but I can only think about it sparingly because I'm still too heartbroken there isn't a second season. 8 out of 10. Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun is so chaotic and wonderful. There is also a plethora of queer characters, including a lesbian, a few possible bi or pan characters, and the love interest who definitely reads as someone who may or may not be aro ace. Our main character is trying to make this her shoujo love story, except her love interest could literally not care less about that, and doesn't realize that's her motives for getting close to him. The added element that makes this even better is that he is a shoujo mangaka, but he's never been in a relationship. So you not only get a possible slow burn romance, but also a slice of life about mangakas and the manga industry, and a chaotic school anime about everything colliding together. I had so much fun with this one. 8 out of 10. Twilight Out of Focus is raw and explicit, but still able to censor it enough to keep it on Crunchyroll with full-length episodes instead of just 8-minute ones. Twilight Out of Focus is split into 3 arcs, each dealing with a different couple. The first one reveals a dark past of the main character who survived being molested by his stepsister, groomed by his teacher, and coerced into a relationship, having to eventually find a way to escape his abuser. This once again showcases that there is a way to include these difficult topics in anime and make it work. In my opinion, this anime works because none of those events are shown in a good light. And him escaping his abuser and reclaiming his power is so cathartic and meaningful. Each couple in this anime has their own issues, but watching them form and learn how to support each other makes this one of the better BLs from the last few years. 8 out of 10. Sweet Blue Flowers is the most realistic depiction of queer relationships in high school I have ever seen. I cannot imagine how much better my high school years would have been if I'd seen this anime when it came out, which is honestly tragic because my senior year of high school was when this came out in 2009. What I love the most about Sweet Blue Flowers is that it's realistic and honest. Sometimes the couples make it, and other times bad behavior has consequences, and they have to prioritize their own well-being instead of staying in something that's turning toxic. And just like in real life, sometimes you just don't get closure, and you have to figure out how to move on your own. If you're looking for a genuinely good GL that doesn't have any of the toxic tropes that I've screamed about in this series, Sweet Blue Flowers is always going to be one of my first recommendations. 8 out of 10. Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night is a very, very special anime to me. I even made an entire video essay about how it inspired me to get my act together as a musician and step into the next chapter of my music career. Since I fully go into detail during that video, I will keep it brief here. This is one of those anime about creative types finding their voice and finding their people that just make you want to better yourself. Like so many on this list, the GL aspects are very much implied, even if they're not outwardly proclaimed. But I think we can all agree that there is absolutely no explanation for what's going on with these two. And if we're ever given a second season, I cannot wait to see what they do with their careers and their relationship next. 8 out of 10. Given is one of the best BLs ever made, and a modern juggernaut that has helped the genre evolve as a whole. We're just gonna ignore the OVAs and the problematic elements of them and focus on the strides that the original series made. Given is such a beautiful, heartwarming, and devastating story whose performance episode makes me ugly cry every time I see it, or even really just think about it. What sets Given apart from its toxic BL forefathers is that it prioritizes consent, other than Akihiko preying on Haruki. It doesn't rely on SA or R, we are completely ignoring the existence of the OVAs, and it allows their queer characters to have an actual personality outside their sexuality, so they feel like fully fledged people. Plus, this has the best gay panic scene of all time. Given is a true, bona fide gem. 8 out of 10. Licorice Recoil is literally John Wick for lesbians, except with a lot less killing. That's cause our assassin main characters got kicked off the force, so for probation, they now work at a cafe and they still take out hits, but they keep their targets alive. This anime is so goddamn gay, and not just in the subtle gay banter and connection between the two main characters that does grow throughout the season, but there is an actual gay couple, which extra points for being a interracial gay couple composed of middle-aged men. They aren't just side characters either. Their relationship plays so much into the conclusion of this anime, which, might I add, goes absolutely fucking insane. 8.5 out of 10. Heaven Official's Blessing is why a lot of y'all are here. So to all of y'all, I just want to say, we finally made it! There is a reason why all of your BL manhwa and dongwa friends are obsessed with Heaven Official's Blessing, because this anime truly does have everything. Absolutely jaw-dropping animation and world building, incredible character development, a second season that knocked me on my ass, and some of the most sexual tension I have ever seen between two main characters. Since this is a dongwa and had to deal with Chinese censorship, all of the gay aspects are implied but not shown. I told my dad about this aspect when I was showing him an episode and explained that they had to be super subtle to meet censorship standards. And without missing a beat, he said, they're not very subtle, so there you go. 8.5 out of 10. Skip and Loafer features one of my all-time favorite trans characters, Now, who is the loving aunt that we deserve. Although the remainder of the characters are straight passing, aka we haven't been shown anything to the contrary, Now is the glue that holds this truly spectacular series together. What I love even more is that her storylines are about her being an absolute badass and the best aunt to the main character. It's not a tragic tale of rejection and dysphoria, it is a celebration of this bad bitch who is absolutely killing it in the fashion industry. Only downside about this anime is that she is a side character and I would have loved to see more of her story play out. Hopefully we see a lot more in season 2, which is currently in production. I adore Skip and Loafer. It is one of my all-time favorite comfort shows and I cannot recommend it enough. 8.5 out of 10. So to wrap things up, I am so happy that we finally made it to the part of the video series where I can actually recommend good anime for y'all. I know I've definitely ruffled some feathers with my placements, and I can confirm that it is going to be 10 times worse next week. I think some of y'all are under the impression that I'm this puritanical figure who hates problematic anime, and my top 10 are gonna be the sweetest, squeaky clean anime I can find. But joke's on y'all, cause so many in my top 20 are dark as hell. We are about to get into it, and I cannot wait to see y'all's reaction to my number one pick, cause I know y'all are gonna have some opinions. If you'd like to see the extended director's cut of today's video, I have uploaded it to my Patreon, which is linked in the description and pinned in the comments. Shout out to my Patreon producers, including Jeff Friend, Karen Miriam Goldberg, Horsey Bread, and a special thank you to Legion Zero. Next week is our finale, so make sure to subscribe and come back next Saturday so you don't miss it. I've been reflecting so much during this Pride Month on how I can best support my community. With everything going on in the US, it really does feel like we're on the edge of the cliff just waiting to be pushed over the edge. As much as I don't want to think about it, we do need space to be able to voice those fears because it is exhausting keeping everything inside and trying to continue on with our lives like our country isn't falling apart around us. So if you feel comfortable and it would help, please feel free to share your stories, your fears, and how you're doing in the comments so we can best help and support each other. We are in an impossible situation, so we need to take the time to give ourselves credit for just existing at a time like this. When the opposition's tactics want to break our spirit, the most powerful way to protest is to continue to exist, continue to flourish, and continue to stay alive. I am so happy that you are alive. Please don't feel hesitant to reach out for help. And here are some resources which are also linked in the description just in case. Thank y'all so much for sticking around, and I'll see all of y'all on the next one.